Hello everyone, my name is Bhavya Nayak. I am from Department of Botany. Today I am going to discuss about the topic called General Characteristics of Bryophytes. So before we begin with the concept, we should know the meaning of bryophyte. So the bryophyte or bryophyta means moss plant. So here the moss word refers to a non-vascular or non-flowering plants, and it was derived from Greek words called bryon as well as phyton. So what do you mean by the bryon and phyton? Bryon refers to moss, again it is a non-flowering as well as non-vascular plants, and phyton refers to plant, hence it is called as bryophyte or bryophyta. And this term was introduced by Robert Brown in the year 1864 to include algae, fungi, lichens and mosses. So Robert Brown in the year 1864, he has introduced the term called bryophyte to the group of algae, fungi, lichens and mosses. In the recent year, the bryophytes, they are grouped under certain categories such as liverworts, hornworts and mosses. So nowadays we are classifying the bryophytes as liverworts, hornworts and the mosses. And the branch of botany, so botany, which is a branch of science, the branch of botany deals with the bryophytes, is known as bryology. The study of bryophytes is known as bryology, and the research workers who study the bryology are known as bryologists. So this was about the introduction. And the next one, the Professor Shivaram Kashyap. So he is known as the father of Indian bryology. So he has made a thoroughly study on the Himalayan bryophytes, and for this work it is being recognized as he is a father of Indian bryology. And if we see the next features of it, so what are these bryophytes? So bryophytes, they are a group of non-vascular, that means they do not contain xylem and the phloem, and non-flowering, they do not produce any kind of flowers in them, as well as seedless land plants, so they do not produce any seeds. So because of all these features, they are known as bryophytes, and they have also one more recognition as amphibians of plant kingdom. So we already know the word meaning of amphibians, but here the amphibians of plant kingdom refers to these plants, the bryophytes. They are like when the time of their reproduction, they require water for their completion of a life cycle as well as the reproduction. So what is the significance of water here is in order to move the gametes, where the fertilization which takes place inside the water itself. So that's why the water is like essential for their reproduction. Hence by this process they are known as amphibians of plant kingdom. And if we see the characteristic features of a bryophytes, the plants occur in damp and shaded areas. So the plants occur damp. Damp areas refers to where the moisture level is high, or where the place which is having a moisture in it. So it may be a wet soil, or it may be a rock, under the rock or a box. So such type of places the bryophytes can be seen. So if you see the examples for a bryophytes, it can be either Rixia, Anthoceros, Finaria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum. These are the different bryophytes which belong to different groups of different classes of bryophytes. And the next one, the plant body is thallus. So thallus refers to the part of a plant body or the plant body which lacks true root, stem and the leaves. So when we compare bryophytes to the angiospermic plant, so if we see the angiospermic plant, the angiosperm plant which possesses true root, stem and the leaf, but in the case of a bryophyte, even though it has a structure of a root, stem as well as the leaf, but it is not actual root, stem and leaf. They looks like they're similar to the structure of root, stem and the leaf, but they do not possess such structure in it. Instead of that, it contains thallus and they are flattened dorsiventrally. So if you see the structure of the bryophytes, for example, if we consider Rixia, where it is having the thallus is dorsiventrally flattened structure. Dorsiventral refers to the upper side as well as the lower side of the plant body, or the thallus is a flattened structure where we cannot see any shoot or like a root region, and which is not differentiated into true roots, stem as well as leaf. And the true roots are absent. So now we have a question that if the roots are absent, then what about their conduction, then what about their transportation of minerals or maybe the water? But in this case, they are having a structure called rhizoids. So these rhizoids are tiny hair-like a structure which helps in absorption of minerals as well as water from the soil. Hence they do not have a vascular system, they have only the rhizoids, and rhizoids will help in absorbing the minerals for their growth as well as the reproduction aspect, and the rhizoids absorb the nutrients from the moist soil so that it can found only in the moist region, so that they can absorb the moisture from the air through their surface. And they lack typical vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem is absent, so that they lack true vascular tissues. So vascular tissue can be seen only in the endospermic plant or only in the higher level of plants, while in the case of bryophytes they do not have a vascular system. Instead of that, they have a they will absorb the moisture from the environment through the air. And when we talk about their reproduction aspect, so it undergoes two types of a reproduction, that is vegetative reproduction and sexual reproduction. So what is this vegetative reproduction? It is more efficient when we compare to the sexual method. So when we talk about the sexual reproduction, where involvement of, or maybe where fertilization of two gametes will took place, but in the case of a vegetative reproduction, which took place by the means of fragments, tubers as well as gemma. So fragments refers to fragmentation, where the plant body will broken into different pieces, or maybe like a broken into separate pieces, and the tuber, formation of a tuber will take place, and gemma or gemma cups can be seen on the surface of their thallus. And when we talk about the sexual reproduction is of oogamous type. So oogamous type, which involve fusion of male and female gametes, and it takes place by means of gametes only. That is nothing but the male and female reproductive organs which produce the male and female gametes. And this male and female reproductive organs present in the thallus, either it can be a monoecious or it can be a dioecious. Most of the cases it will be a monoecious only, but in certain species, or depends on the environment, it can be either dioecious also. So while in the case of a monoecious, where the male and female reproductive organs present in a single thallus only, or in the same thallus. So when we talk about the male reproductive organ, antheridium will produce male gametes, sperms, and archegonium will produce the egg in that. So here the sperm will having a motility, or which is motile in nature, and egg will be constant, or it will be like a fixed. And the dominant part of the plant body is gametophyte, which is haploid. So the bryophytes, they will be having two types of alternative generations, that is a sporophyte as well as the gametophyte generation. So the first one, the dominant part, so dominant, the majority, it will be a gametophyte only, and that is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes, and they are the haploid in condition, consisting of a single set of chromosomes from their one of the parent. And they show alternation of generations between an independent gametophyte with the sex organs which produces sperms and eggs, and dependent sporophyte which contains the spores. As I said already, the bryophytes consist of a gametophyte with the sporophytic generation, where at the beginning gametophytic generation will take place, that is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes to form a structure called zygote, and from the zygote it will form a structure called embryo, and from there onwards the sporophytic generation will start arising on that. In the image we can see that gametophyte generation with the sporophytic generation. So gametophytic generation, which is the dominant one, produced by the fusion of a male and female gametes, and the sporophytic generation which occurs later stages of a gametophytic phase, where it consists of a foot, seta as well as a capsule structure, where it is going to produce the spores, and further that spores will germinate and produce a new thallus. And that is all about the general characteristics of bryophytes. Hope the topic may be clear. So further topics can be discussed in our next class. Yes, thank you.